Don't be a YouTuber. Or do, because I'm not your mother, probably. But before you do, there's a lot you should know that really doesn't generally get brought up on this platform. This isn't universal, a lot of this is coming from my own personal experience. But after having been invested on this website for 6 or so years now,
let's see, what are these videos? Whoa.
In personal experience. But after
yeah, I mean, these videos pop off. Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of fucking views. Holy shit. There's a lot of One Piece videos he's done. Like, I have not watched that anime yet.
having been invested on this website for 6 or so years now, there are just some things I wish I knew first.
Okay.
For all of the wacky drama on YouTube, it's actually one of the most supportive globs of people that I've ever encountered. Any YouTuber you talk to will be highly encouraging. I mean, of course you should get involved because literally anyone can do it. It's very similar to the classic dream of, say, becoming a big Hollywood actor, writer, director, whatever it is along those lines.
Of course.
Until you realize that all of your favorite actors are related to a producer, who's related to a musical artist, who's like the nephew of a record executive. It's a very nepotistic industry, to say the least. But YouTube actually is that dream because it technically has no barriers to entry. You don't need to be in a specific geographic...
Are we good? Yeah, okay. All right, good.
A nephew of a record executive. It's a very nepotistic industry, to say the least. But YouTube actually is that dream because it technically has no barriers to entry. You don't need to be in a specific geographic location. You don't need to know someone to get your foot in the door. And you don't even need any professional quality gear or even professional skills. You just need either a really good idea, a solid grind set attitude, or both. Ideally both. I honestly believe...
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. A lot of people always say that, you know, oh, well, I can't get into YouTube because everybody that's already in it, like, you have to know somebody to get into it, etc. I don't think that's very true. I think that if you have a good idea, you're motivated to make content, you will actually be successful in time. Most, like, not every time, but, like, most of the time, I think that will happen. Yeah, sounds like an excuse. Yeah, I think so.
It is the most equal opportunity platform to have ever existed in human history. And the reason why I compared it to a classical Hollywood dream is because that dream is dead. A survey in 2017 found that 34% of all kids want to become YouTubers as a career. Meanwhile, a much more recent survey in 2022 saw that number skyrocket to...
Yeah, this is really reassuring, guys. Let's take a look at this. I've showed you guys this too. What do you want to be whenever you grow up? Well, in the UK, people want to be a vlogger, an athlete, or a musician. US, obviously a YouTuber, again, athlete or musician or teacher. And then over in China, they want to be an astronaut. So yeah, I think that goes to really show what we have to look forward to for the next 30 years.
To an astonishing 75%, with around 30% of them specifically gearing themselves towards becoming vloggers. For a career that didn't even exist a decade ago, that is pretty damn wild. And I very much blame, look, maybe not blame, but I attribute a huge part of that to what I said before. Just how encouraging YouTubers are that anyone can do this. But that's not really the whole story, and a whole ton of tips.
Well, I think the reason why people want to be a YouTuber, you want to know the real truth, is that a lot of kids think that all it is just turning on a camera and recording yourself and then putting the video out there, and now you're a millionaire. This is not really the truth. It's not actually what happens. So obviously people will say that because that seems like, it's like, you know, fucking money for nothing, chicks for free. So obviously that's what people want to do because they think it's really easy and it would be this such simple. You don't do that? Well, I think there's a lot more to it whenever you break it down and you actually look at kind of the amount of like time I spend like reading things. And like also like with me, it's very like weird because I also have like other things that I'm doing that isn't just content, right? Like OTK, Starforge, etc. So it's hard to use me as an example, but I think for YouTube content creators, for example, like you have to think of the video that you're making. You have to source the material that you're going to use. You have to script out or speak and, you know, like make the video, like, you know, do the talking portion of the video. You then have to edit the video. Then you have to market the video. Like all of these things take a lot of time. So the actual recording time might only be 45 minutes, but the time that it takes to make that video a reality is 12 hours.
You hear from people like, well, I guess me, tend to be coated with a healthy slathering of survivor bias, which is the tendency to concentrate on those who made it rather than those who did not. And I think that's understandable because those that did try and fail don't actually have a voice on this platform, which makes it real difficult to get their perspective.
Oh,
For
sure.
example, my flagship channel just hit over 1 million subscribers, which is
Nice.
actually not as rare as you may think. In 2022, it's estimated that somewhere between 25 to 30,000 channels have over 1 million subscribers.
That's crazy.
However, when you put that into perspective, YouTube also estimates that there are roughly 37 million channels on the platform.
Right.
Not users, not viewers, just channels. Channels that are actually producing content. Which puts channels like mine in like the top 0.08%. And I don't say that to
Sure.
just like, statistically jerk myself off on camera. I mean, to be fair though, that ratio is pretty hot. But I say it more to highlight just how many unheard voices there really are.
Well, I always find this to be funny whenever somebody says that a streamer fell off and now they only get like 4,000 viewers now. Meanwhile, 4,000 viewers is in the top like 1,000 people on Twitch, or like, 500 people on Twitch or something like that. And then meanwhile, this is like, it's like 1 million people that have made platforms or made accounts. It's nuts.
Despite being the most equal opportunity platform in human history, the odds are still pretty astronomically stacked against you if you want to make YouTube a career. And I think the vast majority of people fail for one very simple reason. The most common factor I see with successful channels is pure obsession. You need to live and breathe your content. For example, I have this Luffy. I live it, I breathe it. That was creepy. You may or may not want to choose to include that. But whether it's anime...
I think that's definitely true, is that people don't spend a lot of time actually investing into their channel. Like, you see people talking about like, yeah, I do YouTube, but it's not really doing very well for me. And they upload one video a week. It's not very well edited. And sometimes they miss weeks. They don't really do anything on Twitter. Like, you're not really putting in effort here. You're not putting in work. You're just doing the bare minimum, and guess what? That's what you're getting out of it.
History, gaming, science, finance, beauty, like whatever. It honestly doesn't matter what the content is.
I think that in like a video I made 10 years ago, I said that to be the best, you have to be obsessed. And it's not something I invented either. I just heard it and thought it was true. I think it's still true. People that are really, really good at something are usually hyper fixated on it to a degree that is unhealthy.
As much as it matters that you are absolutely obsessed with it. It could even be video making itself. Like, you might not be obsessed with the topic you're making a video on, but you're obsessed with the process of making the actual video. That's perfectly valid. The reason why you need to be obsessed, though, is because the bad times of video making are going to heavily outweigh the good times. For example, to make a Grand Line review video, I have to write a roughly 2,500 word script. And not only that, but I'm
gonna be honest. Like, most of my videos, I did not script. I would only have like bullet points that I was going to talk on, and then I would just go. I'd be like, oh yeah, and oh yeah, dog shit mounts. Okay, well this is gonna be the next 5 minutes. Here we go. Yeah, and I'd have like in my mind what I was gonna say, but I wouldn't have it written down.
That 4 days a week for that channel alone. Add a New World review and Dude in a Room, which I'm doing right now, and that means I'm writing at least one whole essay per day. And that's a lot. That gets hard. Often I just want to do anything else that isn't writing. But this is where obsession carries you pretty hard. Because I'm so arguably unnaturally invested in what I'm talking about, that passion outweighs the grind.
Yes.
And you can apply that to any part of the process. Like, say, editing. What you guys see on screen is like a fun 3-second effect. But what you don't see is like the hour and a bit that it took me to research and implement that effect of tearing my hair out in frustration until it actually works. If I wasn't obsessed with what I was talking about, I would have quit.
Well, it's also like having awareness of doing it. So for example, to like what you're really talking about, like that effect there is you're taking two different, what's the word for it? Two different layers, putting them on like, let's say Sony Vegas. Like the first layer is the poop sound effect, and the second layer is the poop, PNG or JPEG or whatever. And then you take it, and then you take the rotation on the end. What is it called again? The end of the frame, and then you rotate it around. how long would this actually take to do if you were good at it? Like, I used to be very, very good at editing because I had to do it all the time. So I would find different ways that I could kind of turn editing into like a formulaic process that I could almost automate by like having presets and having just different auto plays that I could do.
A long time ago. So on the
Probably do it in
bright
5
side,
minutes.
YouTube is one career.
Yeah,
where
well, what I'm saying is like a person who's new to it, it would take them probably over an hour to do that. And a person that, like this guy, I bet he probably did that in 5 minutes.
having a crippling
Maybe
and
10.
potentially socially awkward obsession can really pay off. But if you just like something, or even worse, if you just like the idea of being a YouTuber, then you are almost certainly going to fail. And even if you do succeed, there is a price to success. And by far the biggest price is time.
Most people like being YouTubers or like streamers or something like that because they feel like they're special and they want to be treated like they're special. Which, in my opinion, is like the pinnacle of cringe. Oh my god. Oh, everybody, I want people to know that I'm special. I want people to recognize me, and I want people to like me. They want the attention. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, stop it. Like, what are your parents? Your parents not give you enough attention? Stop this. What like, it's just it's so fucking desperate and pathetic. It's sad.
Even the simplest of videos when you're inexperienced takes a long time. However long you're thinking, triple it, quadruple it, maybe even do the other one.
It's a long time,
even more, the 5, I don't know what it is, quintuple. Do that, or maybe even more. And then when you do know how to make videos, you start getting more ambitious, which just adds more time. And the people at the very top do have a much healthier work-life balance because they can afford to hire employees, which frees up time for, for some sort of...
Yeah, most YouTube content creators that are more popular, they will probably have an editor. And I think he even referred to, are we going to keep that in for the video, whenever he was doing the licking of the poster. So I'm pretty sure he might have an editor as well.
But that's not the vast majority of YouTubers. That's not even me. And for those of you who are just beginning, it is going to be years and years on this journey.
Could you please increase volume? Is the volume low? A bit? Okay. It's hard for me to tell how low or high the volume is because I have these, like my beanie on. And because of that, I'm not hearing it as in the same volume that I usually am. Does that make sense?
Before you can even think of the concept of hiring someone, which means that all of that time being put into the channel is just yours. And so if YouTube is your hobby, then sure, that's fine. You can afford to chuck in a little bit of time here and not a lot of time there. But if you have ideas of becoming more serious than that, then honestly, you should probably be prepared to just write off your social life. To be clear, I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm saying that it's a bit of an inevitable cost, especially when you're just starting, because you'll probably already have a full-time job to support all of the living that I hear you like to do. So when you...
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. That's what I did is whenever I first started YouTube, I was actually going to college. And then my goal was to just make enough money to live and not have to get a job.
Get home from work, you won't have time to do anything that you want to because you will need to be making videos. And on weekends, mate, that is prime video making time. If you're not using those, then you're probably not posting videos, because to post videos you need to make videos, and to make videos you need to use the time to make them. It's a lot. And again,
it's like people say, do something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. There's also do something you love and you'll learn to hate it and create an extremely unhealthy work-life balance that makes you hate your entire life. Both of these things are possible.
And even the really simple ones take a long time to make. For example, it can take anywhere from 12 to 24 hours to make a standard Grand Line review video. That includes research, writing, recording, editing, thumbnail making, and whatever other production needs pop up. And that time cost is after having streamlined the process to what I think is currently its most efficient. It also doesn't necessarily get better when you do get to hire staff, like say editors. I have 2 editors for Grand Line Review who edit half the videos whilst I edit the other half. And I can't count the amount of times I've run into a situation where I've been invited out, because that happens sometimes for some reason. But I can't go, because if I do go out, it means I won't have the time to have a project ready for one of my editors. So what am I meant to say in that situation? Sorry, Mr. Editor, but you're not getting paid this week because I wanted to have a fun night out. Or alternatively, I pay them regardless because it was my fault for not being prepared in time, and that night out ends up just costing me a disgusting amount. And I actually think that Mr. Beast is a great example to bring up here. I often sing his praises for just having taken control of this platform with increasingly brilliant ideas, but that guy has no life outside of video making. He lives in his studio and just spends 24/7 working. The 10 minutes of video that
that's what he likes doing. That's what he does. And there are people, by the way, like for me, I stream every single day, and I love streaming. I like, if I made no money streaming, I would still stream. I would not give a fuck. Yeah, he's obsessed with it. Yes, exactly.
Releases every month or so is the result of weeks and months of just non-stop obsessive work. And if that's not a lifestyle that appeals to you, then maybe aiming to be a YouTuber isn't the greatest of ideas. Because every bit of sweet success you taste is going to make you more and more willing to give that much more of your life away. And that's to say nothing of the list.
That's definitely what's happened with it's what's happened with me to an extent, is that I like doing what I like doing. And I just kind of, I'm gonna open the window. It's getting a little bit. Actually, yeah, I'll open the window and then turn this off. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. Fucking piece of shit. It's 81 fucking degrees because it was freezing in my house. Okay, we should be fine. Anyway, like, yeah, that's what happened with me, is like I will like always do more and more and more and more until like I'm overwhelmed, and then it's a problem. Yeah, I do that a lot.
Years of time investment that you may need to put in before anything starts paying off. I mention this a lot, but it's never been more relevant than it is now. I was making videos for 3 years before I saw a single cent. Not that everything is about money, but look,
I got pretty lucky. Whenever I first started making videos, I made a few of them and they started doing well, and I made more and they also did well, and then I just kept making them. And but like after like 6 months of making videos or so, already I was making enough money to where I could do that as a full-time job. But you have to keep in mind that whenever I was doing that, I had played WoW for like 10 years at that time. Yeah, something like, I don't know, it was like somewhere around there. And I played WoW for like a massive amount of time. I had like a crazy amount of game knowledge. So like whenever I started making these videos, like, I'm gonna be honest, like, I knew this shit better than anybody else, and nobody was even remotely close. And you can go back to the original videos, and you can see that.
Eventually, you do need to find a way to sustain your obsessive activities. And continuing along the lines of obsession, one thing you need to know is that YouTube is a platform designed to get you addicted to success. As a creator, I often feel like a dog being fed a delicious treat by YouTube every time I perform the trick it is they want to see. I mean, within the creator dashboard, they reward you with literal fireworks when one of your videos performs amazingly, which of course leads to more views, more growth, more revenue, and it's all very addictive. And that only makes me more willing to invest time into it because I need that hit, you know? But it also has a very harsh come down, because when you do perform badly, not only does YouTube not reward you, but it actively punishes you. Every time
It sucks whenever you have a video that doesn't do well. This is just like, for me, I don't take it personally whenever my videos don't do well, but having my streams not do well is like much more bothersome for me. And I think the reason for that is because whenever you're streaming, you have to deal with like that success or lack thereof in immediate real time. You know, you're seeing how well the stream is going. You have people in your chat that are telling you if it's going bad because they don't like you, or they're telling you it's going well because they do like you. They're like constantly putting pressure on you to, you know, meet your expected viewer count. It's extremely, like, I think Twitch is like extremely toxic in that way. And YouTube is not like that at all. And I actually vastly prefer YouTube because of that. But overall, I don't take it personal whenever it's a YouTube video it doesn't do well, but I do take it personal whenever it's a stream that doesn't do well. Sure.
have a low performing video, I feel like, oh, it's just, my career is over. It makes it really difficult to do things like say sleep, which I've heard is pretty important. And it also makes me really adverse to taking risks in terms of video content. I know what my YouTube audience wants, so I give it to them, and I tend to avoid passion projects that could harm or even sink the channel. But again, this is where obsession comes in clutch. I am so obsessed with One Piece that I am happy to talk about anything. It really doesn't matter because...
Yeah, I think that's what really matters, is that you know, you're super enthusiastic about it. You like it a lot. Like, how many of you guys have seen somebody who, you know, they really like World of Warcraft, for example, and then over time they lose interest with WoW, and in the process of that, they stop caring about it, and the videos go down in quality? Me? No, I stopped making videos about WoW. Like, that wasn't me at all. Like, don't fucking put this shit on me. That was not me. But the problem is that I didn't. Like, I kept making, like, achievement guides. But the game was in such a bad state, nobody cared about achievement guides anymore. They just wanted to talk about how bad the game was. So I'm like, okay, well, do I want to spend 20 hours making an achievement guide? Or do I want to spend 20 minutes talking about how flying sucks in Warlords of Draenor? I mean, damn.
This is my favorite thing. And if I didn't have that acute obsession, I think always having to min-max content could be quite soul-destroying. And that's before you bring up the idea of putting yourself out there publicly. Because something you should be prepared for is the fact that some people are just going to hate you. Sometimes
it's not just that they're going to hate you, and this is something that's very true with streaming, is that people will say things just to make a streamer squirm, just to make them mad, just to get a reaction. And a lot of people don't have the right approach to it. Here is the right approach to it. This is my advice for anybody. Never take anybody's criticism that is not another content creator. If a viewer tells you to do something, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Don't listen to them. Do what you want to do. And if you don't have the right insight and you have to have random chatters tell you what you should do, stop right now and get another job. Because you clearly don't fucking understand the space. You don't understand what you're doing. You don't understand your content. You have no intuitive understanding of how that content is supposed to relate to people. Just do yourself a favor and get another job. But like, you should never go and like take somebody's feedback like, oh yeah, this is something that I should do. And I'm not saying nobody ever gives good feedback. But I think that whenever you're trying to find good feedback from like a comment section or from YouTube, YouTube like videos and shit like that, not YouTube videos, but like, YouTube comments, I would say. And, or like Twitch chat or something like that, or Twitter, like you are literally talking about finding a needle in a haystack, because these people don't fucking understand. They don't get it, and it's not their fault. They're just viewers. Like, they're not stupid. They're not inferior. They're probably a lot better at you than you at, like, I don't know, being an electrician or, being a teacher or working in the military or something like that. They're very good at that. But, I mean, if this guy's like a fucking, I don't know, like a plumber, you're not going to go and tell him. He's not going to be asking you, how do you think I should install this pipe here? He's going to know what to do because he's a fucking plumber. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's the smart thing to do, is to not listen. Yeah, the Old War Backseater essay comment. Well, that's just video game shit. But I'm saying, like, the directions to take your channel in. What qualifies as feedback, though? Because seeing your content not doing well and acting on it is kind of taking your viewers' feedback into your account. I think that a quote from Jeff Kaplan is perfect for this situation. You cannot rely on your players to tell you how to solve a problem, but you can sure as hell rely on them to tell you that it's there. So what I mean by that is that if a lot of people don't like something that you're doing, maybe that might not be a good idea to do. But it doesn't mean that they're going to be able to tell you what you should do instead and have that be a solution. So yes, obviously, nothing is like just a fucking black and white, never take feedback. But I think that, again, over 99% of the feedback that at least I get is not good feedback. It's not something I would do. Does that make sense? Viewership is better feedback than comments. In general, yes, but not always. Because sometimes whenever you do something that has a very high viewership, like for example, like girl content, I think this is a great example. Like there's a lot of streamers that do girl content. And girl content is a great way to grow your channel in the short run and kill your channel in the long run. Because the people that you attract with that are weirdos and losers and kids. And there is nothing that is more mercurial and fleeting than weirdos, losers, and kids, number one. Number two, whenever you are doing that content, you're also alienating normal, average, chill viewers that are more, I don't know, like what's the word for it? Like more well-adjusted, okay? Let's just be honest. They're way more well-adjusted. They're not weirdos that are trying to live their, you know, like their relationship life through you. They just want to watch the content and chill out. So the more that you fixate on that kind of stuff, the more that you not only alienate viewers that are going to be more attached to your content as a whole, but you also bring in viewers that are only there for that one type of content. Does that make sense? Yeah, I know for a fact, a lot of people started watching after the depth trials. My wife woke up every damn day, was like, is Asmon streaming yet? Yeah, but where are they now? Well, they're not watching because I'm not doing that. You see what I'm saying? Like, sure, I've retained some viewers from that in general, and like, I wouldn't consider that a mistake or anything like that. But overall, after you stop doing that, then those people are going to leave. Does that make sense? What's considered girl content? I mean, I'm not really trying to get into an example of it or like anything like that, because then people go, oh, what about this streamer always talking about this guy? I fucking hate him too. I think that we all know. Guys, can we just be honest? We know what girl content is on Twitch. Come on. Let's be real. So yeah, that's an example. So viewership is not always the best indicator, but it is an indicator, and it is generally a good one.
There's a decent reason for this, and there's some constructive criticism that you can take on board. But most of the time, it's just going to be people saying they hate your face or your voice or anything, literally anything, whatever you can.
My best advice is that if somebody's criticism of you includes a insult on your personal appearance, throw the criticism in the garbage. Don't even keep reading. Immediately stop reading, move on, read something else. Immediately throw it away.
Whatever you can hear, someone hates it. Legitimately, whatever you put out there, someone is going to have a reaction of visceral disgust to. All of which is to say that if you're particularly sensitive, either prepare yourself for this or maybe rethink the idea of being a YouTuber altogether. Because
yeah, that's true. And it's unfortunate that is the case because nobody should have to be subjected to harassment. However, if you make YouTube content, you will get feedback. And all of that feedback will not be positive. Even if 90% of the feedback is positive, having 10% of the people that watch you or consume your content hate it is like a awful ratio and is extremely taxing. So that's what I would say. You'll be a loser? Yeah. You got to have thick skin to be a content creator. I think so. And also you have to have, like what I've said before is like you have to be your own North Star. You have to be the person that you want to be. You have to be able to know, okay, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. And you can listen to other people's feedback, but that's not going to, you're not going to read like 3 comments and then be like, wait a second, I'm going to go a completely different direction. That's whenever you start making mistakes.
It's very exposing, and it could destroy you. You know, I was once actually sent a death threat because of my opinions on comic book pirates. Good times. Look, it shouldn't have to be this way, but it's the sort of thing that you need to expect. To quickly touch on business, if running your own business is something that doesn't appeal to you, then this also may not be the right career path. There's this romantic idea amongst viewers that YouTube is all about the passion, you know, just dude in room doing his thing for the world to see. So honest, so raw. But then as soon as you start making your first cent, everything changes. Because whether you
yeah, I mean, this is always very true. Like, you know, you have people that think that, oh, well, this guy, he just likes doing it for whatever reason. People like doing it because it makes a lot of money. Do you want to know why everybody follows Twitch trends? Because it gives you more viewers. Duh. Obviously. So yeah, you just acknowledge that it's not bad, but there it is. And there are some Twitch trends that, you know, like, you know, for me, I'll follow some and not others. I think that most people do that.
See this as a business or not, the government sees it as a business, and so you need to treat it like one. Which means that you are now subject to a whole new side of law that you need to be on top on, or else you could get into some serious trouble.
Well, you don't really need to be on top of that. You need to have a CPA that's on top of that, or some person that you hire to make those decisions for you. And the thing is, you're never going to know everything about the tax law. That's why people go to school for like 6 years and then still they don't know everything about it. There's a reason for that, okay? So you're not going to just like Google a few things and then be like, oh, okay, well, I understand everything. So yeah, I think that's a very big factor. And well, let's see, I was going to say something else. I'm trying to remember what that was. And fuck is Twitch trends? Well, I think it's like just doing things that are popular. Basically, like playing games that are popular, farming different trends, like watching different content, etc.
Very common story with YouTubers, especially younger ones. But the amount of people I've heard that just forgot to pay their...
That's why people go to jail? Wait, what? That's why people go to jail? No, I don't think that's what I was saying. Sorry, no, I'm so confused. Okay, let's just move on.
Tax on their YouTube income is terrifyingly astonishing. And that caused them big problems because they weren't prepared to run even the most basic aspect of a business. And I'm not saying I'm amazing at this. I despise admin. I am so shit at it. And it's by far my least favorite part of this career. But this is, again, where obsession pays off. I love talking about fictional pirates so much that I am willing to sit down and just dive into my personal living hell that is admin. And then there's people. It's kind of weird, actually. Despite the stats I showed you earlier with like the staggering amount of kids wanting to be YouTubers, the majority of society still doesn't even recognize this as a real job. I would say that when you get to talking to people...
I think that if you care what you're doing if other people approve of what you're doing as a job, you've already lost. You're a loser. The truth is that you don't need anybody else's approval to do what you want. Like most people care. Yeah, I know, because they're pathetic. It's pathetic to care what like a random person. Like imagine like some guy, you know, he works at some office and he's judgmental about your job. Well, who the fuck are you? You're a loser. I don't want to be you. Why would I want to think? Why would I care what you think? This is very important distinction. I've always thought is that if you don't care, if you don't want to be this person, if this person isn't where you want to be, don't take their fucking advice. Yeah, it's that simple. Yeah, you don't have to go sit around and listen to some person who doesn't like you tell you what you need to do to earn their approval. Who the fuck cares about what they think? Nobody does. They don't matter. Thank you for massive knowledge. Yeah, some environments are less forgiving than others. Think about family. So what? Oh, wow. You know, your mom and dad don't agree with what you're doing. Who cares? So what? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, what, why, like, I mean, yeah, what, okay, so I guess you don't like it? Okay, that's fine. Nobody, who asked?
Around 30 plus, it's a very foreign concept, so you should be prepared for some awkward discussions. A lot of times people can ask what in any other profession would be considered quite an invasive question. Yeah. Stuff like, how much money do you make and how do you make it? And I still don't really...
Oh, people ask me this kind of stuff all the time. One of the most awkward things is that my dad will, anytime that he sees somebody, he will immediately go and tell them within probably 2 minutes of talking to them how much money I make. I'm not a fan of this. I know he's very proud of me and I appreciate that. I'm very glad. But like, you know, like I don't tell people or anything. Like, actually, it's not that I don't tell people. If people ask, I tell them, right? Like, sure, yeah, whatever. But I don't really give a fuck, to be honest. It doesn't really matter. Tell us. I'm not gonna tell you guys. How about this? I've got a new accountant, and they're working on my taxes, and I'll tell you guys how much I owe the IRS. Okay? Like whenever they get everything sorted. Yeah.
To answer that question, especially with people I still don't really know. Yeah. I tend to find that people fall into one of two camps when they discover that I'm a YouTuber. Either it's, holy crap, that's amazing, you know, the sort of putting you up on a pedestal and worshipping the idea thing, which comes with a lot of its own problems. Or there's the other way, which is to be completely dismissive of everything you do. Because to them, it probably just sounds like you've said, I play with Lego on my bedroom floor for a living. And here's a good example from my real life. So
what I always tell people is I'm an independent broadcaster. Like, or I make content online. And that's it. I remember there was like this guy that came over and they were doing they were doing like pest control, and he was like up in my room. He's like, "Oh, bro, you stream?" I'm like, "Yeah, I stream." And like I talked to him about this for like fucking an hour. I never told him like what my channel was, if I was successful, how well my channel was doing. I was just talking to him like he's a normal fucking person. That's all you have to do. It's not hard.
Do some theater work from time to time, and it's well past the point where I can keep my actual career a secret. As a result, it often does come up in conversation because, you know, you
would be very surprised. I think that there are a lot of people that have a chip on their shoulder, and this is not something that's unique to streaming, by the way. There's a lot of people that want to find an opportunity to be very conspicuous about being successful. That's why you see people driving $400,000 cars around. It's because, what do you think? Like, oh wow, this car can go 220 miles an hour. Where are they going 220 miles an hour? No, you're not. You're driving 43 miles an hour in a 40 mile an hour zone over to, the grocery store to pick up, over to Whole Foods so you can buy overpriced food there. That's it. Yeah, people love showing off. That's why, there's like fucking Gucci bags are $16,000.
Novelty profession. So one time I was in between shows chatting with the group, and the question came up of, what would you do if you could no longer do YouTube? Which is a great question, actually, one that I ask myself every time a video performs poorly. But before I could answer, another slightly older member of the company interjected and said, well, he'd have to actually work. Which elicited a big group laugh that I just had to go along with. It was either that or get very confrontational. Because I very rarely get angry.
Why? Like, people say the same stuff to me. It doesn't bother me at all. Because, I don't care. Why would I care what a 55-year-old boomer thinks of my job if he thinks it's actual real work or not? If I could just sit home and do nothing and just get paid a lot of money, I'd do that. I don't derive any value in my life from doing something. Having a job where you have to do something. No. You do, though. Yeah, there you go. It pays. Work has evolved. Yeah, work's evolved, man. Get with the times, old man. Real work had real work. No, a real job, definitely. Work is what you make it. Yeah, people like that. There's no reason to try to correct or fight with somebody like that, because in doing so, you acknowledge that their opinion is worth correcting or fighting against. And it's not. It's completely irrelevant. It actually doesn't matter what they think. Never forget that.
in real life, but this was one of those situations where I really could have gone off. Because it was a joke, yeah, but you know, there's always truth in jokes. And I could tell that from her perspective, I don't work. I just sort of fuck around all day and somehow make money doing it. While she has real work to do, like a job that makes you get up in the morning and go to a place to do a task. And that's how you make a real living. And that's the sort of thing you'll have to deal with. People not considering what you do a, quote, real job. I don't know, you don't carry bricks or you don't enter numbers.
Here we go. The Chad unemployed never has worked a single hour in his life, has so much free time he can do anything he wants, doesn't have nightmares, doesn't have to worry about paying rent because he lives with his mom, isn't going to commit a mass shooting, has plenty of time to make for his friends, has more than enough time to bank all the hot Stacy's, clean-shaven face, no bags under his eyes because he sleeps as long as he wants. So true. Neat life. There you go, man. Abso-fucking-lutely. That dude, that's me? Yep.
Into a spreadsheet. I don't know. I don't know what a real job is anymore. I just fuck around all day and somehow make a living whilst doing it.
Sure.
You know what? Leave a comment in the comment place if you have a real job and tell me what it is. I'm legitimately interested. But in conclusion, unless you have a crippling obsession with something, maybe rethink the whole YouTube thing. Because it will cost you time, it will cost you mentally, and it will cost you socially. I don't care how good you think you are at balancing a work life, it is going to cost you. And you could spend years paying all of those costs, all for the insanely low chance of actually breaking through. And these are things no one tells you because all of the advice you hear is from the 0.1% of people who actually made it. But also, if you want to do it, go for it. Do it now. Because this is still a very unique opportunity, but maybe keep these things in mind before, during, and after you decide to invest years and years of your life into it.
I think this is a pretty good video. Somebody suggested for me to watch this, and I just was like, yeah, maybe link it to me and I'll take a look at it. And I never actually took any time to do that. But I'm very glad that I watched this. I think that's everything that he said was pretty accurate, etc. I do think, however, the moment that you let another person be the gatekeeper of your happiness and like your fulfillment, and what your fulfillment has to somehow fall in line with what their standards are, fuck all that. Fuck all that, fuck everybody else, only do what you want, and if you're not happy, nothing else matters. That's the way I see things, okay? You can say it's selfish, you can say it's entitled, you can say I'm an asshole, you can say anything you want, and it won't matter because it's not going to stop. That's it. That's all I've done my whole life, and that's all it's ever going to be. Let's see here. How does this be a therapist? No, I've no fucking shot on that one, man. I'm starting to think that way, yeah. Did you get your degree before you worked for the IRS? No. It was I think it was a G4 or G5 in government. And so that's like a certain pay scale, and you didn't need a degree for that one. And so, no, I got my degree after that. Fortunately, a lot of people grew up with a mindset that cares too much about other people's opinions, hard to change. Good, then take advantage of it and find ways to manipulate them into giving you money. It's simple. Like, if you can't, listen, if you can't change what people think, you just have to use them to your advantage.